So my name is Amanyiraho Robinson. I'm based in Uganda, and yes, I'm part of the Abuja user group. The, the technology has helped us so that we can be able to associate. So today we're going to go in for the introduction to Shiny. So what is Shiny and who should really attend? So I could say Shiny is a web development framework developed by RStudio, and it is a means of you would an extra way you would communicate your results from data science or data analysis or data analytics to your audience. Basically, what it does, it's mainly done so that you can easily communicate with people who are not really good at data analysis, or they don't really need to look at the R code. So it will give them a platform or a user interface so that they can easily interact with your results from your analysis, and even also to change one or two variables so that they can see the feedback. What if, let me say, age was not 10, what if it was 20, what would happen? So the results will be displayed to them without them knowing anything about R. So that is it. Again, this tutorial is completely basic web app development using Shiny package in RStudio. So I really expect or assume that someone who's going to really watch this video is going to be completely new to RStudio. That's when it's really going to be a gift for you from this studio. But however, like I said at the last year, of course, anyone who loves R can pick one thing or two. We can't always be knowing everything. So then it's made for people who are interested in adding on their R Markdown, their Jupyter Notebook, or R scripts ways of communication. So in case you're really having that and you're good at that, and maybe you don't know really Shiny or web development, you would try to use RStudio, or you try to use a Shiny package to add on to your tool belt. Assumption is that you're familiar with RStudio IDE. You have some basic base R, you know some base R, and also some basic tidyverse principles. Yes. However, even if you've just begun with R, I really hope you can really follow. I'm sure you can follow and get something out of this. Let's start. And then objectives. One of my objectives is to freely find that someone you'll be able to start up Shiny and develop anything. So I'm just going to give you something or the ability so that even if you just think about doing something, at least you can start with our Shiny. Then you know how to use other packages like tidyverse, because Shiny is just a package. Now what if you want to do something from maybe quality control, maybe you want to do something from the tidyverse, anything? So how can you integrate those two packages and do them in Shiny? Then after that, I want to show you how to connect your RStudio with the Shiny app, shinyapps.i account, and also deploy the Shiny app on the shinyapps.io server. Those are the main objectives for this webinar. And then a motivation, because in that group, in the Abuja ARA user group, if you're not part of it, the WhatsApp group, please try to comment about this video, and we shall be able to share everything in the description. I think we shall be able to share everything in the description, how you can join. So in the group, there was a question of how powerful is Shiny? Can it really handle massive amounts of data? And what's its strength? Can we really use it for a big project? That was a very good question. I remember it was there before, a week before. So this motivation here, there are more templates on the internet which show you the capabilities of Shiny. But previously, I'm just going to show you. My name is Amanyiraho. Again, you can see this link. It's used Amanyiraho. And then I'm going to show you just a few Shiny apps I just developed myself. They may not really be the world class, but they can show you at least what Shiny can really do out there. So I'm going to start with this Shiny. I'm going to start with this first link where this is the East African COVID-19 tracker I developed. Let me show you a little bit. Let me share my screen with that. So when you follow that link, you're going to come to a display like this. So you can see now this is it automatically. I think you've already, all of you have seen at least some COVID-19 trackers, but it automatically does it without you being able to always go and click run code in your RStudio. Even anyone can access it on phone. You also can access it that side. So it helps the community. If I had maybe a community or if we're working on a project of COVID-19, and you're a data analyst or data scientist, so you can develop something for them like this, and you would be freely. You just wake up in the morning and just do other things as they are using your tool. That's the power of Shiny. That's the platform Shiny is going to give you. So these are the latest dates. Today is 11th. This is when I'm recording the video. 11th January, and these are the countries. These are the East African countries, and then these these are the results. As I said, they automatically update them. So as you can see, this is ggplot. Yes, this is a package called diaphragms, the diagraphs. Then this is also just these are plots. Again, I integrated it with some leaflet. This is just showing you exactly how powerful Shiny can be. So if if you would do your Shiny very well, you can do something like this. One more thing, maybe I will show you now. This is just showing another different area in data science. So this is a web application I developed that analyzes Twitter data. So I connected it to the Twitter API, and it comes in and it comes in and it collects data and it analyzes it and it gives me the display here. Yes, let's give it time. Yes. So these are the results. As you can see, it's just bringing up the number of tweets and it's bringing up those people who have really tweeted, and it's analyzing them. It's saying these are the people who have been the most likes. And you see, the point is, I want to show you that it has been integrated with tidy text, and it's bringing in on this display. You can see how powerful it can be. So in just one click, anyone in the world can analyze Twitter data. Are you seeing? So this is the most recent tweet according to that hashtag, and the most most retweeted and the most recent tweet. So there's another functionality, but I'm not going to go to that. But that's what I wanted to show you, how powerful can a Shiny app can be, so that you get the motivation to go in for this. Yes, let me take you back. I hope you have seen this. I'm guessing I recorded a different screen. Sorry about that. I don't know how, if I'll chop that out. I'll clip that out in the video. But this is the Twitter data I was talking about. If you go in for that, if you go in for that, for the links, you'll be able to interact with it. But this is all I was talking about. I'm not sure if I recorded that. I've just seen my RStudio. I mean, my Zoom was on another screen. Apologies for that. But this is basically it. Let's go into the presentation, back to the presentation. So the presentation at this level, we are saying, let's go to RStudio and build our first Shiny application. If this was a live video, I would ask you guys to I'll ask you, okay, at this point, I guess if you have been following, you want to learn something from it. I want you to answer something. What instances have you reached and you feel like you wanted to really develop a Shiny app or something like a Shiny app? You didn't know even it was called a Shiny app. Before you started developing Shiny app, you had an idea and you feel like, okay, that is the first thing you would do. So at this moment, I would ask you that and we see how it really goes. Now, you ask yourself that before you dive right in. So let's go to RStudio. So I would ask everyone to go in your RStudio, and then create a new project. Wherever you store it, I don't know, but I've created a new project in RStudio and it's called Intro to Shiny Webinar. That's my RStudio. That's my R project where we're going to develop our first Shiny application. So I'm going to share my screen. So I expect your screen to be like this. I expect your screen to be like this, like mine. Nothing there, environment. Now just hear the name of the project. So it's completely new project. So we're going to start. How do we start from here? Because this is where we are. This is where we have been. You've seen this at least before. Like I said, I am assuming that you are familiar with RStudio. So I'm going to come and say, okay, now what do I want to do? I want to develop a Shiny application. Now, my main point, I'm going to develop a Shiny application. So I'm going to come here and say files. As you can see, there's files. You can come in and say that you want to develop a Shiny web application. That is one of the ways. Then, or you can come on this small file plus file, and then again you say Shiny web application. So I'm going to click that. So then it's going to ask you, what's the name of the application? Now, this name of the application is very important because this name of the application is going to be very important because that's what your Shiny app is going to be called. So you have to determine from now, like, okay, now this is it. So it's going to develop for you a folder in your project where every file associated with the RStudio, with every file associated with your Shiny application is going to be stored. Any data set, any scripts, and any other files that will really depend and work with the Shiny application. So let me call it a demo. So again, this single and this mount file, what does it mean? The single and mount file means that, okay, for the single file, I want it to be a single file, like a single R script, and the double file will be a double R script. Like you have one R script for UI and then the server. I'm going to explain the difference between those two in, as we go on. But let's use the single Shiny application. I'll be showing you and telling you the reason why you'll be seeing it in a few minutes. So let me create that. Yes. So the first, I want to deeply dive right in here for this because at least everyone who has RStudio installed and is using RStudio, you're going to have this template come right to you. So I'm going to explain each and every bit of this and try to make some adjustments out of this, and that adjusted panel is what we're going to upload. So let's do this. Okay, now this is a very special thing. I told you there's a folder called demo that is going to be created in your project. and you can see it is having one single file called app.r. This is the file here. And then when we go back, again, this is the project name, and it's having the folder called demo. Demo is our Shiny application. So this is what I was trying to tell you. Your determination of your name will determine the name of the application. However, the script itself, the script name does not determine the name of the application. Now, the script is always app.r, and app should be small letters .r, the way it's supposed to be. And when you save it like that, when you do that, RStudio will bring for you an additional button called Run App. So let's just run this roughly and we see what it really is going to bring us. So let me share that, the output of what we are running, and you can see we are having a plot. We are having a plot. We are having a plot. We are having a plot that, okay, they are telling me the number of beams. Remember, the number of beams are these 1, 2, 3. So if you count them from here to here, there should be 30 based on this output. So if I want them to be like 11, I'll do this. And if you count them, these are 4, these are 3, 3 plus 4, 7, 7 plus 4, 11. So if you adjust this, the number of beams will be adjusted to that. Are you seeing that reactivity Shiny app is giving you? So basically, even if someone doesn't know R, it's just going to slide this, slide the input, and then the output is here. So anything you want, Shiny can give it to you based on how you determine each and everything. As you can see, this plot is drawn from base R, and then this is just this template here. So this is a user interface. This is the user interface. If you saw the other part of where I would talk about the UI, the user interface. So each Shiny application has a user interface. So you would ask me, where is this code being executed from? Because this is a base histogram. And if you change the templates, if you change the input of the beams, that means in the background there's some R code being executed. Right now, the background is my computer. My computer, that's where the R code is being executed, and then the results are being brought back here. So my computer is acting as a server, or is acting like the console. If we go back to RStudio, I want to show you something. When you run your Shiny application, it's going to bring in this. It's going to bring in, okay, loading required package Shiny. And this is the code that runs the Shiny application. So are you seeing that we are in Shiny, we're using Shiny library, and we run application called demo. That's the demo. That's the folder here. So again, we say loading required package. Of course, it's Shiny, and then here it's listening. Whenever your Shiny application is running, it's always going to be listening. This is like a localhost link saying that you are using your computer. So if you can see that we can't even execute code when the Shiny application is running in this R session. So when you want to stop your Shiny application, and so that you can easily make adjustments or use your console, come and press here to interrupt our session, and then it will stop and it will prompt you to to continue and make any other adjustments you would love to do. So I hope we are together right now. If you have any questions, please you try to comment about them in the video or ask them in the WhatsApp group. I'll be happy to answer them, and anyone who knows something will be able to also answer you. Yeah, I in case I can't answer, other people would be able to answer you. I'm sure we can easily get to an answer. So okay, Now we want to do this. We were saying, okay, that is the first application we have seen happen, and then we were saying, okay, what if I want to really change something? What if I really want to change something about that application? So, and if I really want to change something about that application, we are going to say, okay, we are going to use, we are going to use, we are going to use ggplot instead of the base plot. That's the most important thing. Now, ggplot, remember, is a package. It's a package in tidyverse. So we're going to bring in the tidyverse and we're going to use Shiny in that. That's going to be our main objective. But before we go for that, we're going to break down this Shiny application in 3 sections so that you understand the basic sections you should be having. So I want you to look at this. This, starting from here, it's called UI. That's the user interface. So this part here, the UI, is going to be describing how you want your application to be customized. Like, how do you want your interface to be? What do you want the heading to be? And then inside here, which kind of plots, which kind of input do you want? And then which kind of plots do you want? So that's the user interface, what the user is going to see. Then there is another point, there's another part here called the server. If you can see this server here. Now the server is the back end. What is it going to be doing within the background? As you can see here, we're having something called beams, which was related to the other beams. And then here we are having a hist. Remember, it was a histogram. And then whatever what was, they're trying to show us colors and everything. So we are going to, don't worry, we're going to go line by line. And then you can see at the end, they're saying if you want to run your Shiny application, you use the function called Shiny app, and then UI, and then you place that in the UI and the server, and place that in the server, and then you run that. Then you run your Shiny application. So let's go back up here. So this one is the first this. So this one, they're just trying to, these are the comments, and this, I would really, really ask you to go and visit this website if you really want to have RStudio, learn RStudio to a great extent, to do anything you want. Try to visit this link, http shiny.rstudio.com. It has a lot of templates and more material beyond what we're going to cover today. So we're going to remove this. Like I said, we are going to develop our Shiny application from this. So we are saying, okay, now the first line of code, you have to bring in and run the first libraries you want to use. You're going to do, okay. Now, for example, I said we're going to change this, and we include in tidyverse. So most probably, again, I would put my tidyverse. I know you're just going to use ggplot, but I want to show you that even if you use dplyr and everything, you would use it. So again, our tidyverse is there. So when we come here in the user interface here, so this fluid page, sorry about that, this fluid page, you can see it's saying you define the user interface for the application that draws the histogram. Now this fluid page shows you, okay, this fluid page, it gives you that platform that, okay, this is the first page you're going to be using. This is the page you're going to, this is the page, the whole page we looked at, and we're saying, okay, in that page, how is everything going to be structured? Yes, I want my application title to be the old faithful Jessia data. I don't know if I pronounced that right. That's the whole heading. Now we're going to say, okay, and this is the function. Now this function is in Shiny, and also this fluid page is in Shiny. You have to assign this whole function to UI. So the title panel, we're going to change this, and we're going to say, okay, what do we want to do? We're going to say first. I know it's not the first. I know it's not the first Abuja. I know most of you have done it, but this is this is where the intro is. The first Abuja user group Shiny app. Shiny application. So that's going to be our first one. Again, now depending on what you want to be used as the input. So this one, the layout, the side bar layout, you saw that the sliding bar was on the left. I can try to run that. Okay, I hope you remember. I am sure you remember. I don't want to go back and forth. But you can run it when you're looking at this video and you try to recall. This slide bar layout is describing this. I'm going to run it one more time after describing the whole user interface. This slide bar layout here is going to describe what is on the side. Most times it's on the left hand side. When it's you'll have a big screen. It's going to say, okay, what's on the left hand side, which most times what people do, they put there the input, and those inputs are like the other slider which was sliding, so that it gives you the number of beams you want to put in the slide bar panel. So the slide bar layout is going to ask you, okay, how do you want your layout to be? I mean, this is the sidebar layout. So okay, how do you want your layout to be? Okay, I want my slide bar panel to have a slider input. Are you seeing that? So if you wanted another input in the sidebar panel, the sidebar panel is what was on the left. If you want your sidebar to have a slider input, you have to describe it. Are you seeing how I'm breaking down the functions? So it will give you that application. So that means this is just an input. So there are other inputs in Shiny. There's numerical inputs, there are text inputs in the PowerPoint, in the presentation. The third after from the one we are currently in, it has the examples of slider inputs. I mean input functions. We're going to look at that, but for now we are just trying to get used to Shiny. We are going to stick to slider input. So now what is this here? Now let me go down here. I'm going to let me first run Shiny, and then I want to get my course. I want to go in the help. So I want you to notice the structure or the argument, the usual common arguments in input functions. So I want you to look at this. So these are the basic two for the most of the input functions. The input ID has to be unique. And what does it do? It uniquely identifies that input. For example, if I have this, I can have like 10 slider inputs, but I have to uniquely identify them. So I have to name them input ID. So I can say slide bar 1, but most times, like you can see here, so this here is called the input ID. So I can come in and say, okay, input ID, and it's going to be equal to the beams. So that's the input ID, and then the label. For the start, you can, of course, like, if you're not yet used to the function arguments, you can always put them there. But if you are, they are arranged and you can just name them like that. So this has to be unique throughout all functions, but the label can be the same. The label is just what the user sees. So let me say, instead of the number of beams, let me say I want to call it change the number of beams. So this one is what is displayed. We shall see it when we run. And then this maximum and minimum just means, okay, how many number of beams should be the maximum? How many should be the minimum? So let me say, okay, now I want my maximum to be 30, and I want, now the value represents where should we start from. I want to start from 15. So this is the slide bar, and where, so this, all we have been talking about is just one function, the slider input. But I've said this can differ from function to function. It may not have it in numerical, but these two are very important and should always be there. There is, and each and every input function should have them, the input ID and the labels and the label. The input ID uniquely identifies the function in the whole Shiny app. So each input, each function, each input function should have its own ID, or unique ID. So we'll go on. Now we have left that slider sidebar panel, and then we're going to the main panel. The main panel is where the histogram was displayed. Now this plot output is an output function, and what it does, it outputs a plot this time around, but output function, so it's a group, it's a part of a group of output function. So what does it do? We are saying that it gives you the ability to display any kind of display you can have. You can not only display Shiny, plots only in Shiny. You can display texts, you can display numbers, you can display user interface, Shiny user interfaces, you can display a table. So all those should have their own independent output functions. The output function goes in the user interface because it's describing where you want the output to be. So like you can say, this is showing a plot generated in a distribution. So we're going to call it dist plot. So again, it should have an output ID. And these other matrices that describe it, height, the height, the height, the width, the click, and everything. But I want you to just stick to the output ID. So I'll come in and say, okay, I want this output ID to be equals to that. So this is what my output ID. Again, for all output functions, there should be a unique identifier. This is the ID. So there shouldn't be any other output function having this ID. So we move on. So that is the user interface. So let us see the adjustments you have seen, and then we have done, and then we move on to the server. So let's try to see that. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, you could see from here. Oh, let me just do this. Okay. Yes. Again, I want you to see that first Abuja area user group Shiny application, and then we're seeing we have changed this, the maximum and the minimum, and then we said it's starting from 15. So we can put it to 10, it changes, it cannot exceed 30 like we defined in the slider input. This is the sidebar panel, and this is the main bar panel. Are you seeing the difference? This is where the output is, and this is where the input function is. the slider input function. This is the title of the Shiny app. Yes, and you can see that we didn't even have a chance to change the heading of the histogram because this is defined in the server part. Let me share my RStudio again, and we go down to this. So we are going down to the server. Now the server function, as you can see, the difference is that this one is already a defined function that we just call it from the package again, but now the server function is defined within the Shiny app. You can see we're using again a function called function from the base R, and then it has two inputs, the first two inputs. There's a third one, but for now let's just leave it to this. There is input and output. Now these two arguments, we're going to use them in the server function. You're going to see how we use them. Now from here to down here, that's where the server function is. Now we're going to say, okay, what do we have? We're going to say in the output, this is very important that you're using this word output. It's a list of all outputs. It's going to be a list of all outputs we have. So most times whenever I have the output, you say that output and you write the $sign and you say we're going to assign it, but sorry, I had shifted, so I pressed Ctrl Z to go back. So this plot is going to be the same ID we used in the main panel. And so it should be the same. The difference is this one has quotes character and this one doesn't have quotes. But as long as you define there, you just come and assign this result. Now, which result do you assign? There is a function, again, a group of functions. Those are that's the last three categories. Don't get worried that we have so many categories of functions, but this is the last one, and it's called these are called render functions. Depending on what you want to render is something like you want to give out so render a plot. So you define the plot you want to render out to this IDE stored in the list of outputs by defining it inside here. So this, most times what goes into the render plot itself is purely error code, normal error code. The only differences will come in when you want to make it reactive with the input the other side. So let's break this render plot code one line by line. So the first thing, remember that in our histogram, we had number of beams. And we had, of course, an histogram, it's a invariant analytic tool. So if we get this faithful data set is in base R. So again, you can see I forgot to stop the R Shiny application the other side, and it was still listening. So if you see something like this and it's still listening, you should come and you stop it so that your code can run. Like you can see, I can't see the output of the faithful data set. So I would come and then interrupt rshine r, and then then the data set is displayed. I want to show you that here in the faithful data set, we have two continuous variables or columns. This is waiting and eruptions. So the waiting, again, if you can see, it is numerical. That's why we even drew a histogram. Now, if we have that, we have seen how it looks like. We go back to our render function. Our render function. You can see that we're going to come and we get out only the weighting column, and we assign it to X. And now we're going to create a sequence of, we're going to create beams using the sequencing function. This is base R. So this X is from here. We're going to create a sequence, and we see the number of beams from here. So input. So the why is it's bringing in the error is that the length out, that spacing out, because we are going to get a sequence. This is the maximum of, from the minimum of A to the maximum of A of X. What I'm trying to mean is this. Let's see what's the maximum of A, X, sorry, not A, then the maximum of X. We want to get a series between those two, and then we want to say, okay, how should we space those two? You're getting the point? Yes, we want them to be in a length out of input. Now, this is where, again, the reactivity comes in, steps in again. I want you to look at this. We are having an input argument there. Again, remember that we had an input here from the slider input. Now, once we want to say, okay, we want to access the value that is given by the user interface or the user of the Shiny app, we access it using the $sign again. We are saying, okay, in the output, I want you to come and get the list. I want you to get only the output or the input, sorry, it's an input. In the input, I want you to come and only get beams. Beams is the ID of the slider input. So this is the magic here. Input, $sign, then the ID of that particular input you want. Then this is +1 to just automatically get it. So let me just put here a value that someone has entered 15. I'm getting the point? So that we come and process this and we see what beams really gives us. Like I explained, 15, remember this is the first answer we gave. And then we're seeing that now that's what they're giving us. Okay, these are the beams are going to be, this is where beams are going to be placed and everything. Are you seeing how it's going to be? So this is the feedback. And if we get that feedback and we try to, these are the breaks we want. This is where the breaks, we want these breaks to be. That's how it determines the number of, that's where it determines the number of what? Beams coming up. And if we do this, we can see the output in just the console here, the plots. So we want to change this plot. We want to give it some color. We want to use ggplot. Want to use ggplot, and also want to leave it to be. We want to give it maybe a steel blue color, and we also want to give it another heading, and then we just make some small adjustments so that we show you, because this is just base R. Now we want to put in some tidyverse. Okay, let's go for it. So I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to comment this out, the whole of this code. So I want to first put this back before I forget. So all that, like I told you, that I've been running this code, but within the render function, but I've not been rendering the whole Shiny app. I've just wanted to see my output of, I wanted to see the output of my rendered plot before it's in the Shiny app. So you can basically do that, but before you can't use the inputs from the UI to see it here. If you're using the inputs of the UI, you have to run the whole Shiny application. So let's go. We're seeing, okay, the data set we see, it's already in base R. it's already in base R. So we're going to say, okay, we're going to say, okay, we want ggplot. And ggplot, we want the data set to be faithful. And then we want to say, okay, we want our X to be weighting. Now we're going to, okay, then after that, we want to say, okay, geom histogram. Want a geom histogram, and that histogram, let's first see what it really gives us. Are we on the same track? Let's first see. So it's trying to tell us, okay, it is displayed. That's good. That's ggplot. Now let's give it some color just to show that, okay, really doing ggplot. Let's say we are saying, okay, we want to say fill. Let's fill in. Let me fill in still blue. I just like still blue. I don't know why. Still blue. Let me give it some. Now let me give it some. Let me give it a heading. Let me give it a heading. Let me give it a heading. Let me say, yeah, not the other time they called it a histogram of X. Me, I'm going to call it a histogram. Let me call it a histogram. Histogram of. Let me say histogram of weighting. Histogram of weighting in faithful. In faithful. Yes. Should we see how far we've gone? A minute. Oh, the word is not still blue. Sorry. I had misspelled this color, and this color is not there. Yes, beautiful, right? So this is it. Now we want to give it we want to change the number of beams. For the first time, we just want to give it, let me say 10 beams. So make sure you know where the argument is. That's where it is, because that's where we want it to be like the other histogram, but again, adjustable. Right now, even if you display it, it won't be able to be adjusted. Let me show you that. Let me run the whole plot. Let me run the whole Shiny app and show you how far we have gone. Now, this is it. You can see this is a ggplot, and we're saying, okay, even if we adjust anything, nothing is changing this side. Even if we take it this side, nothing is changing this side. Now, the reason is we have not associated it with any, with any input. We have not connected this input to this output. That's what we're going to do. Let's go back to RStudio. Yes. Now, this is where the beams are. And if you press that, it's going to give you the number of beams you want to do. So if we say 10, we want to confirm if that's the real argument. If we say 10, we run that, and it's going to change the number of beams. So if we can associate this argument with the input, then we are done. So I will say, okay, now what do I want? I want to say beams. I want to say, okay, input. Now, input $sign beams. Now, let's run this and see. Let's go back to the Shiny application. see if it really changes. Oh, it changes. See, beautiful. So that ability for you to change is supposed to be done the other side. Let me go back so that you can look at the error code once more before we continue. And this is where we have just changed everything. Let me stop this. This is where we have put in that, and we have connected it to the above input there. So most of the, of course, render table will have different functionalities and everything, but you always have to assign it to that particular ID, and then we have to put it in a function, and that function you have to assign it to server. You can have so many other plots, and so if you want to put in something different, you would just put it here. Let me say, if you have any other output, you put it here without any comma, and you just rewrite the same thing here in case we had two plots. In case we had two plots, because we had two plots, we just put it there, and then you run, and then be displayed the other side. You can try that out later. Okay, so we have developed our first Shiny application, and then what next? Can you try to share it with anyone? Yes, now I want to share it with you guys. At least you want to show you how we have interacted. We have brought in a tidyverse, and then we have put in the heading and everything. We have made some adjustments there. How do you share it? So let me take you to our presentation once more. Yes, we are back to our presentation. The Shiny app on your PC installed with R. So this is what we have been seeing. It has been in your browser. It has been in your browser. But in your browser, it has been in your browser, but running locally on your PC. So this is the computer with R, and this is a Shiny app. Now, if you put in, if you in your Shiny application and you change the slider bar, it will say this changed input, give it to the PC, execute it, and then later on return the results to the plot. So that's how it's working. Your PC is supporting this Shiny application. So what if we want to share it? If we want to share it, we are going to change the PC and put there a server. So this server should be installed with R. Now, if you put in again, it will just work the same way. Like we saw the other applications before I developed, I showed you the COVID-19 and the one which analyzes Twitter data. That, okay, if I put in this server, the server will execute now this R code. That means this server should be installed with R and should support R, and then it will send the results of your Shiny application, and then the change output, the change output will start from the Shiny and then give it to the server. The server executes the code, then the results are returned to the Shiny application. So we're going to see, okay, how do we do that? To remind you, I talked about the input functions. These are the different input functions you would love to do. The spacing was not perfect, but this is one. This is the second one, third, fourth, like that. I wanted to space them this side. I don't know why it did happen. Sorry about that. So again, we talked about the ID, the major input function argument. So this is the ID, and also the label. The label, we saw that how it changes the other side. Then we are saying, okay, examples of output. I told you we have tables, plot, output, text, output, UI, and then this is text, depending on what you really want to display. Then examples of render functions. Again, render functions associated to what you really want to output, or through which particular output you want to do. You have to make sure that the particular output is associated with this particular render function or output function. Then how do we put this to the server so that we can share our results with anyone? So there is RStudio. RStudio provides us with shinyapps.io server that for the start it's free. Actually, it's completely free if you are just beginning. It gives you the platform so that you can really begin up. Like you saw, the other applications are free. I'm not paying for them. RStudio is maintaining the everything, and it's easy to use. You don't even have to know how to even start up a server in your whole life. That you don't. I even don't know how to do that myself. You just have to push it. You just have to publish it in the server, and for them they will do their hard work for you, the heavy lifting for you. So it's just you just in just 2 clicks you have already uploaded your Shiny application, and everyone you want to access it can access it. Then after that, it's secure and scalable. Scalable, you can use it on a very big data set or any other thing. So depending on how much you want to use it, of course, when I think for the start, if you can't exceed 5 applications, Shiny applications. If you really want to begin up and maybe start up a course or a project, or you can you're sharing with so many people, you have to pay for space and more runtime. Like this, all these applications, the ones which are free. On free, they are not run for a very long time, so they are not active. So you have to just refresh your web page in case you take like more than 5 minutes without interacting with it. So I'm going to show you how to connect this to your RStudio, and then how to upload your publish or deploy your application. So we're going to go to yes, let me show you my Google Chrome. Yes, this is where I am. So I'm searching for let me close this, close this, close this. So we're here. So I want to log in. I want to first, let me log out. I'm going to log out so that all of us begin at the same. Yes. So when you come to shinyapps.io admin, it prompts you to either you're going to log in or there's signing in. So most probably, if you don't have an account, you're going to land on this one. You have to sign up. You can sign up with your Google or sign up with your GitHub. So either email, and so here you can put in your email or password. So we're going to say, okay, now me, I already have an account. So I have to log in. But when you create, it's not hard. You can easily log in, and you can easily log in. So I'm in create an account. So here I'm going to use my Google account. Yes. So yes, since you don't have any application, you'll be able to, let me see. Sorry, I had already done an application that this is not the demo we are having. This was for preparing the lesson. So the shiny.io, just want to delete this. Apologies for that. I want to delete the demo. Okay, um, I had to prepare the lesson, so I did the same name. Since we're going to upload again an application guide demo, I just want to show you from the beginning. So I'm just deleting this. Okay. Okay. For the meantime, what I want to really do, let's first go to our studio as this is going on. What I want to do is for you to enable you to run this application and deploy it to the shinyapps.io server. So what you do is the publishing here. I want you to be able, whenever you come to this publish, you come and say publish, and then it will be connected to your account, the shinyapps.io account. Yes, you're seeing that. Just wanted to check if you're really seeing. So I would, it's associated to that, and you just have to press this to publish, and then it will be published and they are to the shinyapps.io. So that's what we want to do. So I want to take you through the steps of, I want you to take you through the steps of creating that. So to do that, we're going to do, we're going to, I'm going to take you back to the browser. Yes, we're back to the browser. So this is my account and this is everything. So if you want to connect your RStudio IDE to your account, you come and say, okay, you click on your name here, your name Amanyiraho Robinson, and then you say tokens. So when you have your tokens here, you come in and then they'll show you figures and what. So you have to say show, and then you copy on clipboard. I don't want to show, of course, I can't show you my other secret parts, but you have to say show, and then you say clipboard, and then after that you copy whatever secret code and every token given to you there, and then you come and bring it to RStudio. So I'm hoping that you've done that. You're going to say show. Let me share my RStudio. Okay. So you say, when you say show, it will bring for you a bunch of that, and then you say show. You have to press show secret, and then you have to copy that on your quick clipboard. You just have to copy the whole text, and then you whatever. Then you go to RStudio. Then you when you're in RStudio, let me go back. Now you are in RStudio and you have just copied your token and secret key. You'll come and say, okay, if you have not done it, it will not give you that. But okay, let me say cancel. So when you come here and say publish, if you really want to say add another account, so say shinyapps.io, then you copy and you put it there. So that that of course it doesn't look like that, but that whatever you have copied from the other secret key and the token, you copy and paste it here. When you say, then after that you connect your account. So me, I've already connected my account and it's Amanyiraho that, and I want to publish it. So after connecting, you would always just be automatically bringing this, like myself. After connecting, like the last, I don't know when I connected that, but I don't remember the day I connected, but I would just always be coming in after knowing that my application is working. I'll just come, publish, and then I'll say, okay, what do I want? Do I want to launch it in the browser? Yes. Demo? Yes. I say publish. When you are trying to publish, it's going to bring in another part in the console side and showing you they're preparing to deploy. So it will take a couple of just 2 minutes to 3 minutes to deploy the application. So we're waiting for it to upload to deploy, but the biggest part of the lesson is to this point. Uh, yes, I'm just saying this so that in case are you're really tired by this time, you can easily go. But it's just going to deploy and give the feedbacks here, and then it will just display on your display on your browser in your browser. So whenever you want to share that link, you you have to just copy the link and share it with anyone like I did in the presentation. Yes. And so let's just be patient with that and we see how it goes. It's taking longer than usual. Okay. I don't know why it's taking that long. Should have already brought up something at least. You just have to be a little bit more patient if you really want to see the results. Yes, feedback is coming. So I started showing something, promising signs. Wow, it has been deployed. Let us go to our browser and yes, let me share this. So it's here. Yes, it's working. So you can easily get this application. I'm going to share the link with you guys, and then you'll be able to interact with the Shiny application. So I'm looking forward. Of course, this is a basic Shiny application, but it's giving you a start, a kickstart for you to in your world of Shiny applications. So as you can see, now I'm going to share this link, and then you'll be able to use it the way you want and maybe make adjustments. I'll share the code and I'll share the link. You can easily use this. I will not put it down as long as it's there. I doubt I will put it down any time sooner. But again, you can rebuild it. I'm going to share the code. Yes, this is our main results at the end. Thank you for staying around up to this time. It has been a long webinar. Uh, thank you for attending, and please try to comment anything in case you have not understood anything. In case you've seen I've made some error. Again, I want to learn from you. Yes, there's so many people out there who know a lot of Shiny, and maybe I've just watched the video for maybe fun. Again, I'll try to take that feedback from you. I want to thank you very much, but this is the end of the webinar. Thank you.